keep him right there.
Altuve hits 1-2 left field, and that's gone! He loves the three spot. Altuve with his 10th home run of the season just prepped into the Crawford boxes, and the Astros on the first pitch in the bottom of the fourth now lead it 9-1. There's a base hit into right center field. That'll score a run. Pena flying to third. He's going to be waved around. Here comes the throw by Brooks Lee. It's off target. That's a 2 RBI double for Jose Altuve. Aggressive send by Tony Perespica. Pena delivers, and there goes the scoreless streak. The longest active scoreless streak in the major leagues end, going back to last season for Danny Coulomb.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you on a Saturday afternoon. Not raining for once, it feels like, in forever. So glad to have you boys both in as you're looking for, I guess, pieces of wood to knock on. Cam Smith, what's going on with you over there? You were searching for with a zeal, and it looked like, to find something to knock on.
I was trying to knock on wood.
You're trying to knock on wood. So you're saying this desk, you're suspicious that this isn't wood?
It is not. Oh, well, hold on.
I mean, I don't. I think it might be wood. You think, okay, it is like, no, I am with you. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but if this was not wood, I would not be surprised, is all I'm saying. Given the state of various things, and
yeah, it could be some high-end plastic
and around the building. But that was, of course, the voice of Todd Callis you heard from Space City Home Network as the Astros beat the Twins last night 10-3. Thank you for the audio for that. Make sure to check out Todd Callis every Friday with the Killer Bees. Joe Blank and Jeremy Branham joins us either 4 or 4:30, depending on his duties that day and whenever the manager speaks in the dugout before their Friday game. But Astros jump on the Twins early yesterday, Cam. It was 5-0 after the second inning. They got up to 8-0 after the third inning. The offense really came through. Colton Gordon, probably, I would say, probably without argument, his best start of the season so far. A very encouraging start, very encouraging game, and a continuation of a really nice hot streak for the Astros.
Yes, Brian.
Okay, all right. So let's get into. Are you busy, or are you? I mean, hey, John, you have the welcome to the show, Cam Smith drop. Apparently, we need to welcome Cam into the show.
No.
Welcome to the show, Cam Smith.
Are you good? Is this a me and Johnny show?
All right, now I'm here.
You're here?
I was just waiting for the entrance.
Okay. All right, now you got audio play. Okay, John, we might just have to cut Cam off today. Now he's got audio playing.
Bye, bitch.
Yes, all right.
Sorry, I like I said earlier, I was awake for almost 24 hours straight. So let me just get myself together.
You need like a good slap in the face to bring you to.
No, that sneeze woke me up.
You sneezed like a bee right before the show started.
But no, to your point, yeah, probably his best start, and a great time for him to turn it around, especially since the Astros are going on what is it?
7-game road trip.
7-game road trip.
Starting, I guess, was it Monday or Tuesday? I don't remember. But yeah, so he's now his first start of the season, which was, I think early May, was I believe 4 1/3. But since then, 5 straight games where he's gone 5 innings plus. So, and we'll dig into the numbers as far as ERA and things like that in a minute, but when you're talking about these back of the rotation guys, you at least hope they can give you a length that would allow the bullpen not to be killed game after game, which was a big concern when, you lose all the starting pitchers that they lost, and you're looking at, before you knew Lance McCullers, and obviously his last start wasn't great, but before you knew Lance McCullers could be what he's been other than the last game, there was a real fear, at least for me, like, okay, Hunter Brown, great. Framber Valdez, great. Oh my God, what's after that? The bullpen's going to be taxed to death trying to cover those next 3 games. But Lance has pitched well other than the last game. Now, Colton Gordon, a couple of games in a row, plus he's given you depth for 5 straight games. Like, I'm starting to feel okay about the first 4 in this rotation.
Yeah, and I believe it was you earlier in the season, because I was kind of freaking out on what the starting pitchers were going to do, and talking about how, the 1 through 5 was just like terrifying to look. This was before McCullers was come back. And I think you kind of calmed me down when you're like, oh, well, as long as like the 1 through 3 are really good, you can get by with kind of
as long as you're not
subpar
killing
4.
your bullpen.
Yeah, a subpar 4 and 5. But these guys who have been filling in this year, I've been really impressed. I feel like in years past, when we've seen guys have to kind of fill in spots, while we've had, like, obviously a lot of injuries with starting pitching, it's been really inconsistent. It hasn't been good. It's made you think that you're gonna have to go out and get another starting pitcher. Um, I'm not really feeling that right now.
Yeah, I think right now, if Colton Gordon could pitch like this, like his last two starts, 5 innings, 6 innings, 11 innings combined, 10 K, so almost a K per inning, 3 earned runs for an ERA of 2.45. Now, I wouldn't expect him to continue to pitch to a 2.45, but if he can pitch to mid threes ERA, give you five, 5 1/3, so, between 5 and 6 innings. You combine that with Lance and then obviously Hunter and Fromber, I think you're fine. And now you still need depth because there's more than half the season left,
Yeah.
right? There's probably going to be another injury, knock on wood, but that's just the way pitching goes in 2025. But if you can get with these four guys until the point Arrighetti gets back, I think your starting rotation's fine.
Yeah.
Which now Arrighetti might be out to the All-Star break. Like he apparently, according to Joe Spada, will require like a full spring training. So you're going to have to make do for probably about another month. But I think it's possible.
Yeah, and even more so with the fact that the bats are starting to click. I think earlier in the year when the offense wasn't gelling, they weren't scoring runs. I mean, we were seeing games where it's 2 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. I think now that they're starting to hit better, they're starting to score more. You can get away with having your 4 and 5 in your rotation with. I'm not going to say you want them to have an above 4 ERA,
No.
but you can kind of get away with it now.
Yeah, like I really feel comfortable right now with their 1 through 4. Obviously, your horses 1 and 2, and then I think Lance has shown. I mean, I don't know how well Lance will pitch for the rest of the season. I don't know if Lance will be healthy the rest of the season, but I feel comfortable that his last outing wasn't what he'll be going forward. And Colton Gordon, I've been impressed with. Now, Ryan Gusto as their 5th starter, and then Brandon Walter White as their potential 6th if they ever go to 6-man, or at least the next man up if someone gets hurt. I'm not thrilled on those two guys, but look, if what we're talking about is one start through the rotation being the problem, I can live with that, especially considering all the injuries they've had. You mentioned the offense. Let's get into some of these guys that have heated up recently. I mean, we spent time in May like wondering if Father Time had finally beaten Jose Altuve. Well, not so fast, my friend, as Lee Corso might say. Last 19 games for Altuve, dude is hitting 376 with an OPS of 1,076. And get this, guys. Now, I know fun with numbers on Pace Guy is always
Love it.
It's always a comical bit, and I like to lean into that comical bit because it's fun and it's ridiculous, and that's where I usually like to go with sports talk. But his 162 game pace, based off what he's done over the last 19 games, 51 homers, 136 RBI. So
Wow.
look, obviously Jose Altuve will never come within 15 homers of a 51 homer season, but it just goes to show that 3 or 4 week stretch, like end of April through most of May, was just a slump. Like this wasn't Father Time catching up with him. He made some adjustments, talked about being more selective, maybe going after one specific pitch instead of swinging at everything. And he's still going to be aggressive swinging the bat, but look, Altuve's he's getting up there in age, but I don't think he's close to like completely slowing down to the point where we have to talk about regression and being close to the end of his career.
No, and I mean, obviously, he's not going to put up the numbers that he did 5 years ago. I mean, that, like you said, that just comes with time, getting older. Like things are going to drop, obviously, and maybe switching positions, had a little bit to do with it, but also them dropping him in the lineup seems to have really clicked.
I think it helped, yeah. And especially, knock on wood, when and if Yordan Alvarez ever gets back. I mean, if they keep him in the 3 hole when Yordan hits, and hopefully put Yordan at 4, which to me is his best spot. I mean, not only is he hitting well now, but if you're the person in front of Yordan, you presumably are going to have pitchers be more aggressive with you, give you more fastballs, stay in the zone a little bit more because they don't want to walk a guy right in front of Yordan Alvarez. So that could help out Jose Altuve anymore. So I saw our man Johnny Belmer pose this question on Twitter. Was it yesterday or the day before, Johnny? Was it Friday? Was it Thursday?
I think it was Thursday.
Thursday. Will Jose Altuve get to 3,000 hits? So I did some number crunching. My initial gut reaction to Johnny was he was going to have to play 3 or 4 more seasons after this one to get there, and it's Yeah, I mean, unless he just gets incredibly hot far beyond expectation for a guy at his age, that's pretty much what it'd be. So I looked at his numbers the last 3 seasons, including this year, because you don't want to go back into his 20s. Like he's
Yeah.
not going to play like he's in his 20s, right? He's not going to be the 200 plus hit guy per season like he was in his early to mid 20s. So last 3 seasons, including this year, 369 hits in 309 games for a pace of 1.19 hits per game. So if now this is being optimistic because this is based upon that pace, which you would expect maybe to slow down a little bit, and it's based upon him playing 150 games per year, which he's only done. Well, he of the last 2 seasons before this year, he only did the one time. Now, 2 seasons ago, when he played so few games, in part that was because he got his hand broken during the World Baseball Classic, so that's a little bit fluky. But 150 games for a guy of his age might be a little optimistic. But let's just take the optimistic approach. Right now, he needs 696 more hits to reach 3,000. So going by his average hits per game, playing 150 games per year, you're looking at about 178 hits per season. If like fully optimistic, stays healthy, plays 150 games, plays at this level. So you're talking about the rest of this season, 3 full seasons after this, and into a 4th season, which would be his age 39th season. So I guess the question to you two, seeing that kind of broken down, how optimistic do you feel how optimistic do you feel about Altuve getting to 3,000 hits?
I am willing to bet my Kia Optima that he will get 3,000 hits.
I don't feel like that's that strong of a bet. No offense to your Kia Optima. I mean, am I wrong, Johnny? I mean,
You're not wrong.
Okay. Look, I drive a Buick Encore. I'm not saying I drive a super nice car. Okay?
I will bet my roommate's Tesla.
We're all in radio, okay? It's okay, and we're not on the sales side of radio, so we get it. We're all dealing with the same thing here, which is not high end automobiles. But I don't feel like that's that strong of a bet.
All right, 100%. I think that he'll get
100%.
3,000 hits.
Okay, so you're not worried about the nagging injury or the regression because 178 hits is. I think that's on the optimistic side. I mean, when he gets to age 37, 38, 39, I think that's going to slow down. I mean, it could take that full 4 season and not just like the beginning of it. I mean, to give the kind of comparison of the only other guy to do it for the Astros, Biggio got in his age 41 season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if Altuve has designs to play that far, but I mean, we could be a point where if he has an injury, maybe 2 injuries, which has been the norm for him, fluky or not, then you could be looking at a guy that has to play to his age 40 or 41 season.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't predict injuries, but I feel like Altuve is the kind of guy that's just going to go till he literally has nothing left.
Run it till the wheels come off?
Run it till the wheels come off.
Yeah, I could see that with him. I think he's a baseball lifer. What about you, Johnny? Seeing these numbers, how optimistic are you?
Yeah, that's fair. I think Altuve is the kind of guy that will run it till the wheels come off. I would say I'm a little bit on the other side of this here, where I don't think, he may get there only because he isn't that bastion of consistency that he used to be, and he's getting older, and you never know with those injuries. And that's quite a bit. You said 171 hits,
178. Based upon what he's done the last 3 seasons, it'd work out to 178 hits.
That's a lot
season.
to ask.
It is a lot to ask. I think the main thing is it's asking for no regression, and it's asking for like not 100% health because it's based upon 150 games per year, so you're factoring in 12 games missed, but. You could get hit on the hand again during the World Baseball Classic. These things can get kind of fluky. So if you want to weigh on that, will Altuve get to 3,000 hits? Give us a call or a text on the HRMP listener line, 713-780-3776. But on the other side of the break, we got to talk about another person who had a big game last night and someone who's had a big season overall for the Houston Astros, and that is MVP candidate ? Jeremy Pena. I think it's real. I think it's happening. How realistic of a chance does he have? We'll talk about that when the bullpen returns here in a couple minutes on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5 is the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. If you want to find us on X, I'm at Sack by BMAC. Cam is at Clutch City Cam, and Johnny is at Third Coast Johnny, 3RD Coast Johnny. And if you want to reach us on the HRP listener line, give us a call or text on that line, 713-780-3776. I give out that number because I want you guys to answer the question of, will Jose Altuve reach 3,000 hits in this upcoming conversation about Jeremy Pena? But I was just looking at see if we had any text yet and clearing out the ones that are showing up as new that aren't new. And I saw something come in from 9378 that was about Iran and Israel. So I will not be reading that text, and that is not what I hope comes through the rest of the show. We will not go there as a show. That is all I will have to say about that.
Thank you.
But I'm pulling up the text line, and all of a sudden it's Iran and Israel. I'm like, oh, hey. We're dummies on the radio talking sports. We got Mount Rushmore plus one coming up, and I'll give you a hint. Mine is not serious. We are not people qualified to settle the centuries old, really feels like millennium old wars over there in the Middle East. But let's keep the
Not my cup of tea.
Let's keep the text line to I don't know, sports and fart jokes. I don't know, something like that. All right, continuing with the Astros conversation. I mentioned Jeremy Pena in his possible MVP candidacy before the break. He had 3 more hits last night? It was definitely multi-hits, including a double. But man, I kept waiting. I don't know where you're at with this, Cam and John, but I kind of, through this stretch that started when he got moved into the leadoff role, I've kind of been waiting for that other shoe to drop. Like, okay, this is great, but is it kind of similar to the conversations we would have about Jalen Green? Oh man, he's been hot for the last week, but I mean, we know who he is. And Jeremy Pena, credit to him, during his rookie season, he actually had 20-plus home runs that year. But for the most part of his career, starting in 2022, he's been a pretty mediocre, like even to slightly below average, like very slightly to below average offensive player. So I kind of kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I mean, not his defense, obviously. We knew his defense would be good. But his offensive production since moving to the leadoff spot has been unbelievable. I mean, right now, Jeremy Pena, let me pull up his numbers. But I mean, right now he's in WAR, which is, when you look at MVP voting, it feels like the voters just go straight to the WAR line and just only look at that. And so on WAR, Judge leads the league right now, 5.1. Pena second right now with or is it 4.1? So there's a decent drop off from Judge to Pena. Like, so if the voting happened today, not only because of that number, but because of the name ID of Judge compared to Jeremy Pena, he would not win the award. But it just paints the picture of how elite he's been this year. And there's another drop off from Pena at 4.1 down to third, which is a tie between Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh at 3.3. So almost a full point there as well. But I don't know where you're at with his MVP candidacy, Cam. But do you think he? I guess would you be surprised if he wasn't top 5 at this point? Like, where would you set the line?
I definitely think he's deserving to be top 5. I just think that with what Judge is doing this year,
what he's done basically every year.
It's going to be damn near impossible for Pena to win it. But the fact that he's even being mentioned in the MVP race, I think says a lot about where he's come from the last few years to this year. And like you said, we're not even at the All-Star game. So like the average might drop, but those offensive numbers, especially when Jordan comes back, like the runs and the RBIs,
the runs in particular,
you would assume that those would increase. It's just, again, it's one of those seasons where he's having an amazing year, but then there's Judge. So it's just kind of like until you put up numbers close to that.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, he's not going to. I mean, now in batting average, he might. Right now in batting average, he's hitting .333 for the season,
which I think to me is the most
It's crazy.
That
Like
that's
he
the
was
most.
like a 260-ish hitter.
Yeah, I always thought that like the power numbers and the runs and the RBIs would increase, but I always just kind of figured that the average would just kind of hover around like 280, like 290.
That even feels optimistic because I think for the bulk of his career, I'll have to double check this, but I believe he was about a 260-ish,
Yeah,
265 type hitter for his career. So yeah, I'm with you. The especially the way he would like seemingly consistently chase the sliders low and out. Like that has been a consistent like hand wringing thing with watching Jeremy Pena at bats. Is just he cannot at times lay off the slider low and out, especially when he's got two strikes, and you'd hope he shorten up the swing and be a little bit more selective, or at least not chase things that far out the strike zone. But 333 average, 386 on base, OPS is up to 884. Like I think top three. Like if they had the voting today, I think he'd be top three.
yeah,
Especially with the way people vote almost exclusively based upon WAR. Like I don't think he has any chance to pass Judge at this point, and nor should he, because Judge is even far beyond him. But I think Jeremy Pena is easily top three right now.
yeah. And to your point of like how he used to just swing at that slider. So in 69 games, he only has 43 strikeouts, which is crazy low
Yeah,
compared to what he's been. I mean, so basically he's on
that's
pace
pretty
to
good.
finish the season with under 100 strikeouts, which to me is the most impressive thing because that just tells you how much he's worked on not going after the right pitch and not going after those crazy sliders that him and Altuve enjoy. So the low strikeouts is almost as impressive as that 333 average.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the math works out to more than 100 strikeouts if I had to do it on the fly. But I mean, to your point, not to get sidetracked. Like the strikeout rate being less than one per game is like
Yeah.
if he's less than one per game, which as you said is the case right now. Like I would settle for that. Compared to where he was previously. So yeah, I really, man, I'm hopeful he gets the recognition for this type of season because you never know. Like, I mean, now some of the other guys in the top five for WAR include Julio Rodriguez, who's a much bigger name, Jose Ramirez, who's a much bigger name, even though he plays in a middle-ish market. Cal Raleigh, even maybe in part because of the nickname, the Big Dumper, I think might be a bigger name than Jeremy Pena. So I just hope he gets the recognition because it sometimes takes like we talked about this with All Star nominations. Sometimes the recognition for the success happens like a year delayed
Yeah.
from when. So I just hope he gets that recognition because based purely upon stats, he should be second right now in AL MVP. I don't know if he'll beat out some of those bigger names, but he should easily be top five, and I think he absolutely deserves top three. Moving past Jeremy Pena, someone else who had a big game yesterday with multiple hits, Cam Smith. I want to bring him up not only because I have another Cam Smith, sitting just here to my right, but I find the conversation on Cam Smith interesting because I think there's two completely different ways to go with this. I think overall, like if you look at defense and his slash line, I'm fine with what Cam Smith has done this season, given his inexperience. What was it, like 5 games above the double A or the single A level? He was just drafted about a year ago at this time out of Florida State. So, given that limited amount of pro experience, his defense moving from third base to right field, no less,
Yep.
plus the slash line, I'm overall fine with that. But man, the power has not been there. He hit 2 home runs on April 18th to move his season total to 3. Has not hit one since. I mean,
Yeah.
that's quite a long time. Now, so I guess the question, I don't know, because part of the question on Cam, like when you looked at his hitter profile, was he wanted to go the other way with everything. And there was talk at the beginning of the season like the Astros were trying to work on a swing to get him to pull the
Yeah.
ball more, take advantage of your power. Because he's not kind of like Jeremy Pena, where it didn't make sense that he was like he went seasons hitting like 10 or less home runs. Because you look at him, he's built strong.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he's not a weak guy. Same thing. Cam Smith is a big guy who's built well. But I don't know, man. Like if he continues at this home run pace, even though I've been happy with the defense and the slash line, like I would kind of have to call this season a disappointment if he continues with this power rate. How do you feel about it?
I don't know if I could call it a disappointment based on the power numbers because he
If
isn't.
if he hits 10 home runs this season,
I would be okay with it because he's double digit doubles right now. So if at the end of the year he's got over, let's call it 25 doubles and 10 home runs, like I would say that that's a successful season based on the fact that, again, like we mentioned, barely any time in the minor league system, then
Yeah.
had to switch positions.
That's kind of the thing I can't separate from my criticism is
Yeah.
like he came into this with so little experience.
Exactly. So if this was, like year 2 or year 3, I would definitely jump on that plane of, okay, yeah, this is
Oh,
this,
for
this
sure.
is
Yeah. No, if
disappointing.
this is year 2 or year 3, I'd be send his ass down, cut
Yeah.
him. Because I mean, it's not just the home run total. Because I think home run total, because sometimes, to your point about doubles, can be a little bit overrated. It's probably more fair to look at OPS,
Yeah.
like the total amount. Your on base and your extra base hits. But I mean, during that time from April 18th, where he last hit a home run, his OPS has dropped from 745 to 691. So it's not just now, obviously, home runs would help your OPS, but
Yes.
it's not just that he's not hitting home runs. Like the on base and the slugging are also coming down as well. So, like I mean, multi-hit game last night, and he has 6 hits in his last 5 games, including 2 doubles. So maybe this is a little bit of a sign that he's starting to figure out the league. He started off well. The league adjusted to him. Hopefully now he's adjusting back. But it's just a question of what would so I think you said, was it 10, if he hit in the season with 10 homers, 25 doubles, you would mark it as success?
I would say that's a great season for a rookie.
Okay. All
Especially
right.
especially at
Especially if he's
his
playing
age.
good defense,
Yeah.
and he had a great leaping catch a couple days ago up against the right field wall. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's completely unfair, but I guess my expectations were just for a little bit more power. Maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit too much with his production. But quick injury updates before we get out and talk Texans on the other side of the break. Jacob Melton, looks like a kind of a serious ankle injury. I mean, he had trouble. Like he needed help off the field. Like could barely walk from one side of the locker room to the other. It feels like he could be out for a while, which sucks because he started off kind of slow with his offense production last night.
Yeah.
Multiple hits. So you hate to see that. It seems like he's probably going to be. I would be shocked if he doesn't end up on the 10-day IL. We'll see. The one that I'm really shocked by, and maybe this is just because I don't believe the Astros in anything they tell me, but Isaac Paredes with his hamstring strain a couple days ago, they're saying that it was not serious, and Joe Espada doesn't think he's going to go on the 10-day IL. I know the three of us with our experience playing fantasy football. If some dude gets a hamstring strain, it's like, all right, I'll see him in 3 weeks, like minimum. Nico Collins, I know, different sport, blah blah blah, different severity, blah blah blah. But Nico Collins missed 5 weeks last year when he had his hamstring injury in the game against the Bills. So I mean, I'm not coming out here saying, oh, Isaac Paredes is going to miss a month guaranteed, but I feel pretty safe saying that he's going to end up on the 10-day IL. There's no way you can have a hamstring strain unless it's barely even a hamstring strain, I guess, and not miss 10 days or more.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if he was DHing and he's not having to move around a lot, but he's in that hot spot. He's at third base. So
Yeah.
like even if it's not as severe as we think, you still have to give him some time because you can't just throw him back in there so that he can and possibly re-aggravate it. And at the same time, this is also the Astros, so we can't
don't believe anything.
We cannot believe anything when it comes to like a timetable with them. So I'm with you. I think it's going to take more than 10 days.
Yeah, and it's a little bit concerned. I mean, there's obviously more than one player deep in their offense. I mean, we talked about Jose Altuve and Jeremy Pena playing extremely well, but I mean, Christian Walker is in the middle of having his best month so far as an Astro, and it still sucks. Like his best, he's having his best month right now as an Astro in June, but that's a 238 batting average and a 709 OPS. I mean, it still sucks.
I mean, I'm glad he's over 200 now, but
yeah, like I'm glad he's not
yeah.
flirting with the Jose Abreu line. I mean, congratulations on that, Mr. Walker. But yeah, I still think, and maybe this is PTSD from the dealing with the Astros medical staff and just the shenanigans we see coming out of that department. But I still don't believe he was fully healthy when he started the season. Like, remember he had that oblique injury during spring training, like really early on.
Yeah,
and they like the initial timeline was like, okay, he's gonna be back like second, third week of the season, and boom, he's there day one. Like, I don't know. Just from everything we've seen with Jordan and Kyle Tucker last year, Christian Javier's neck injury turning to Tommy John. Like, I'm kind of believing maybe he was rushed back. I have no way of proving that, but I don't know. Christian Walker, from what we've seen of him in the last 3 years in Arizona, is not this level of player. Something I don't. Maybe he got Thanos snapped and he just suddenly hit the age regression overnight. I guess it's possible. I just don't believe that to be the case. I don't know. I don't think he's fully recovered from that oblique injury. Maybe he should have worked out of it by now, but maybe that slowed him down all season. No way to know, but just my 2 cents. All right, on the side of the break, let's get into some stock up, stock down from the Texans minicamp and OTA so far. That when the bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, and John Belmer with you here until 2 o'clock. And, of course, Mount Rushmore Plus One coming up at 1:30. If you want to join into the conversation, give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line, 713-780-376. We did get one text in from 6171 suggesting things we could talk about besides the things that we couldn't talk about. And no, 6171, we will also not be talking about what's going on in California. That is that I told you, sports and fart jokes. That's what we're talking about today. Nothing else will get on the air. I did want to bring up one of our most loyal listeners quickly before we get into the Texans conversation. Brought up when we were having the talk about Altuve and 3,000 hits. He brings up a good point, like to kind of, I guess, push back my math even a year further into Altuve's career before he could get to 3,000. I mean, I wasn't even factoring in that it looks pretty likely we're going to have a lockout in 2026, which, man, I mean, obviously it would suck we wouldn't have any baseball to watch or to talk about here in the show. But for guys, I mean, there's not many people chasing. I mean, I guess Freddie Freeman, I guess, is chasing, although I think he's a little bit older than Altuve. He and Altuve are the only two guys with 2,300 hits among active players. But it really sucks for a guy like Altuve who is chasing that sort of rarefied air. It could have just a year chopped off of his career and now pushing him into maybe, age 40, 41 or beyond. So that if he misses 3,000 by basically a season and we miss the entire 2026 season, that would be that would be a huge bummer. All right, but moving over to Texans right now, and if you want to join in on that conversation, again, HRP listener line 713-780-3776. So Jonathan Alexander from the Chronicle had a stock up, stock down from his OTAs and minicamp coverage. I just want to run some of these by you and give you what he said, get your reaction to them. Starting with the Texans' second-round pick out of Iowa State, the wide receiver Jaden Higgins. Quote from Jonathan Alexander, and this is one of his stock ups. All these are stock ups right now. Quote, it's clear Higgins has skill and the potential to be the number 2 wide receiver in this team. His combination of height and speed will give him a significant advantage, similar to Nico Collins, his counterpart on the opposite side. Do you think that's a realistic expectation this season for Higgins to work himself into the number 2 wide receiver, surpassing Christian Kirk?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I as much as I appreciate Christian Kirk is here to be that veteran slot guy, that like the 3, the 4. But from everything that we saw at Iowa State with Higgins and what he's done in spring training, I definitely think that he's going to be the number 2.
Man, if he like legit earns that, and I everything I get from the staff, they wouldn't, because you sometimes see that when there's like a first round pick, and not, I know he's the second, but he was what, the 3rd pick of the second round, second pick of the second round.
Yeah.
You sometimes see that with like guys drafted that high, where they get forced into a role just because the team drafted them to be that, not because they earned that. But if Higgins actually earns that through play, and you have Nico and a healthy Christian Kirk, because if Christian Kirk's healthy, then, I think we're minimum talking like 60 catches, 800 yards, something like that,
least,
out of the slot, plus play out of the slot. I'd be really excited about this wide receiver room. I have gone from a point pre-draft, really, I guess pre-Christian Kirk, from where I was like, this might have a chance to be one of the worst wide receiver rooms depth-wise, because obviously Nico Collins is great.
100%.
But I thought, man, this could be a train wreck of let's double Nico every play because no one else can beat us. I've gone from that point to adding Christian Kirk, then Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, the Iowa State boys, to feeling like this could be, one of the strengths of the team. Now, it's not the strength of the team. It's probably the defensive line or the secondary. But this could really be one of the strengths of the team. I'm really excited about this wide receiver room.
I love Jaden Higgins. I mean, he was somebody that I wanted the Chargers to draft. So the fact that he went to the Texans, I was like, okay, like sweet. I can still watch.
You can still watch him.
I can still watch this guy play. But the fact that he's so similar to Nico Collins,
6'4", like same body weight.
Yeah, I mean that's going to terrify defenses.
Yeah, it's a real it's a real matchup problem to me.
Oh, yeah.
How many teams, and I'll give you a hint, the answer is 0, have 2 corners? Like if Higgins and Nico are your 2 outside wide receivers, which obviously is what the Texans hope will be the thing. Like, how many teams would have corners who can match up in like contest balls on jump ball situations? Or like 2 guys who, with their height and their jumping ability, who could contest and take balls away from Nico and Jaden Higgins. Like, I don't think there's a team in the league that could do that.
No.
So, I mean, especially in the red zone, 2 6'4" guys, and neither of the tight ends. You got another tall guy there with whoever plays tight end. That could be a real matchup nightmare, especially in the red zone. All right, moving along for one of those other stock ups. It's again from Jonathan Alexander of the Houston Chronicle. He had Kalen Bullock, the safety, second-year safety. What he said about Kalen Bullock. Kalen Bullock's best day was Wednesday. He made one play in coverage where he skied high to deflect a Stroud pass intended for Nico Collins. The play was so nice, even Collins helped him up and told him nice play. Like, man, I am very bullish on Kalen Bullock. I mean, and you might need it even more because we'll see what happens with Jimmy Ward and his spot on the roster. He might not be on the team next time we have a show. But like Kalen Bullock, man, like he didn't even start the season as a starter. He's more kind of like a package guy, just kind of a situational guy. And he worked his way in. I think finished the year with 5 interceptions, a real playmaker. But this has been a position, safety, where the Texans, other than maybe a couple years with Daniel Manning, maybe a few other times in history, like this has been a team that it feels like they've very rarely had plus safety play. So it's just so refreshing to not only have a guy that you think can cover, which, I mean, what a crazy thing to say. You just want a safety who can cover, because it feels like the Texans almost never have that. But not only can he cover, but he can make plays and turn and turn errant passes into interceptions. I think the sky's the future. I think Pro Bowl's in his future for Kalen Bullock.
Oh yeah, I mean
Or
he's a ball
Kalen
hawk,
Bullock.
and the funny thing was, is I feel like there was a lot of like negativity thrown his way when the Texans drafted him, and
Yeah, people thought he was drafted too high. I don't remember exactly
yeah,
how high they thought he should go, but I remember when they took him in the third round, people thought it was a little bit of a reach.
yeah, and they were all this whole like, oh, his lower body is too small, his legs are too thin, like he's not going to be able to be that safety that you want, and here we are, and it's been 1 year later, 5 interceptions later, and this guy is already. I mean, I'm not going to say that he could have made the Pro Bowl last year, um, but this is a guy who, for everything we've seen over the last year, very much looks like a guy that could be in the Pro Bowl in a couple years.
Yeah, I think he, like, as much as we talk about, Stingley being the best corner in the league, like Lassiter being like the best, possibly even best number 2 corner in the league. I think Kalen Bullock could work himself into a point where we say he's, top 3 to 5 safety in the league.
Yeah, and
I don't think that's unrealistic.
it helps that you have those two cornerbacks because it makes the safety's job a little easier. They can just
Sure.
go out there.
Also
And
helps that
play.
you have guys like Will Anderson and Daniel Hunter that cause them not to have to cover for as long, and helps when you have D'Amico Ryans with the best defensive. I mean, this
Yeah.
defense is going to be. If you like defensive play, this team's going to be so much fun. All right, a couple more stock ups and a few stock downs on the other side of the break when we get back here in the bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio back with you today here on a Saturday. Brian McDonald, John Domer, and a jittery Cam Smith who, man, you just told me how much caffeine is in that drink you're drinking, which is like what you said, like the same as like 4 coffees.
Yeah, it's like 4 coffees stuffed in one can.
Yeah, like I'm a little worried. Are you going to get through the show, or are you going to spontaneously explode at some point?
No, I'll get through it. I just might have to go run 20 miles to work
You're
this
just going to
off.
start cleaning stuff up around the studio, just like, hey, no, Johnny, I'll podcast today. Like just try to work out your energy.
See me running up and down the ramp outside.
Doing wind sprints.
Yeah.
Is that not a drink that you drink very often, or?
I do drink Celsius, but not the smaller can.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't paying attention to what I was reaching for, and I grabbed this. And then after I purchased it, I was like, wow, this is almost like a tall boy.
Yeah.
And I looked and I was like, oh.
And you've been jittery today.
I've been jittery now.
All right. Well, me, John Domer, might have to take over the show if Cam Smith explodes on us. Before we get back into the Texans conversation, and if you want to join in on that conversation, text or call us 713-780-3776 on the HRMP listener line. Got a text in from 8596. Altuve will have to be Bernie Mac, Mr. 3000 to get to 3,000 hits.
You know, it's funny he brings that up because in my head when we were talking about that, I was like, this, especially with the lockout.
Yeah,
I mean the Bernie Mac one.
I think that's what it's in reference to.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the Bernie Mac one wasn't because of a lockout. It's because
there was like a statistical error.
Hits.
They took 3 hits away from him. I guess they made him errors or something like that.
So he had to come back and play
to get 3 hits. Like he had his whole like merchandise line, like his brand was built upon being Mr. 3000, not Mr. 2997. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully Altuve won't retire, then has to come back for one more run to get 3 hits like Bernie Mac did in that movie. But back to the Texans, stock up, stock down from Jonathan Alexander from the Houston Chronicle. Stock up, and Cam said, he said in the break, like, I forgot this guy was on the roster. But Cade Stover, second-year tight end. No, I'm not blaming you. I mean, tight end, like, I had that conversation. I mentioned in the last segment, it kind of feels like the Texans never have elite safeties. Like, you could also say, other than the Owen Daniels years, that the Texans never have, great tight ends. Dalton Schultz is, he's fine. But, like, that they haven't very often, had great tight end play. They spent picks on them. They just, tight ends are one of those positions that are very hit or miss. But
and before Owen Daniels, it's almost like you have to go all the way back to the inaugural season when it was like Billy Miller days.
Well, Billy Miller, who famously scored the very first touchdown in franchise history. And I think it was that same year, or maybe it was the year after, they drafted Benny Joppru out of Michigan with their second-round pick. Dude played 0 games for the Houston Texans. And they had there was another guy they spent a second-round Fedorowicz. They spent like
CJ Fedorowicz.
CJ Fedorowicz. They spent like a
Hawkeye.
second-round pick on him, and he did nothing.
Well, and that was the year where Ryan Griffin punched a window during the draft, and they were like, "Ooh, is he really that upset that they're drafting CJ Fedorowicz, who went on to do nothing?" So.
Yeah. Texans and tight end, not a great combination. But on Cade Stover, Jonathan Alexander writes, "Well, Dalton Schultz was out during the first several practices of the spring. Cade Stover was able to get in more reps with the first team, and it has paid off in Tuesday's minicamp practice. Stover was easily Stroud's safety blanket when his other receivers weren't open. In fact, Stroud's first completed pass at the spring since resting his sore shoulder was to Stover for a big gain on a corner route." Like, I think sometimes, especially specifically to tight ends, we've been spoiled by guys like, Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson, some of these guys that come out and like boom, year one, they're amazing. Like, that is not, now I know it's been more and more often the case recently, but traditionally tight end is maybe the slowest developing position in football. I mean, that or quarterback. But like, I think we got to leave ourselves open to the idea that Cade Stover in year 2 could take a big leap, especially the chemistry with Stroud, as Jonathan Alexander mentioned, because they're teammates at Ohio State. The natural progression of year 1 to year 2. Dalton Schultz obviously has been pretty I don't think they're extremely impressed with what he's done since they paid to re-sign him a year ago. So I think Cade Stover we'll see. Look, my optimism level is pretty low because it's a crowded it's a crowded target of group of targets. He's not going to be, I mean, he's not going to get more targets than Nico or than Jaden Higgins or Christian Kirk or probably Jalen Knoll, maybe not even Joe Mixon. So like where he is on the pecking order is pretty low. But I think there's a chance we could look back after the season and say Cade Stover was their best tight end.
Possibly. And I mean, to the whole Dalton thing, I was so high on him when they got him from Dallas. And I mean, honestly, it has been a disappointment, but I feel like because it's D'Amico and I'm not comparing any of these tight ends to George Kittle, but one would kind of
that name did pop in my head because he had a bad by recent standards. He had a slow rookie year. It was like 400, 500 yards, maybe something like that. And all of a sudden, year two, I think it was year two, he set at the time the record for tight ends and receptions.
I think you're right.
It was either receptions or receiving yards, one of the two.
But look what he's turned into, and look how great that has been for Brock Purdy. And D'Amico came from that team, so one would kind of presume that the tight end would be a important position on this team. And like you said, obviously he's not going to get a ton of targets just because of the wide receiver core. But if you can have a tight end that is still giving you 800, 900 yards,
I think that's pretty optimistic.
I mean,
Dalton Schultz the last couple of years has been like 600, I think 700 maybe, but
but he's also he's been a disappointment since he came from Dallas.
Given the other names that CJ is going to be throwing to and what we think of those guys, like if whoever the tight end one of this team, let's say, regardless if it's Cade Stover or Dalton Schultz, like if they end the year, let's say 50 for 600, I'm happy. That's kind of my bar with this team. Like, and that's obviously a massive jump up for Cade Stover. I just think, man, Dalton Schultz, I mean, I try to avoid to use the over cliche like phrases and things that people say, but I just don't think he has that dog in him. Like you watch him out there, like passes over the middle, he alligator arms. Like whenever he gets the ball, it feels like he goes down instantly. Like he's not fighting for the extra yards. He's not breaking tackles. He's never running away from anybody. Like I think of their tight end room, I'm forgetting the name, the guy that got hurt last year at the beginning of the year, who had the big long touchdown pass in the Browns playoff. Brevin Jordan also he probably has the best athletic profile of the tight ends, but I think Cade Stover can be the guy that separates, maybe breaks a few tackles far more than Dalton Schultz. So I hope he gets the chance. I don't know if he will because they paid Dalton Schultz, but I think the overall thing to take away from this is I'm just completely down on Dalton Schultz.
I mean, me too. And I think it helps the fact that Stover and CJ were teammates. You feel like
it can't hurt.
Yeah. But I also think when they drafted Stover, what was it, the fourth round? The fourth round. I feel like they drafted him hoping that he would turn into that future starter.
Sure.
And
I mean, that's not bad draft capital for a tight end.
And Dalton was almost kind of like the safety blanket. Like
I think they like Dalton more than that because they paid him like a 3-year, $30 million contract. Same offseason.
Was it that much?
Yeah. So it's like 3 years, 30-ish million. You fact check me, but it was in there.
Now I'm even more irked at Dalton.
Yeah, no, Dalton Schultz can get bent. Let's move on to someone else. I don't want to talk about Dalton Schultz anymore. One more stock up from Jonathan Alexander, and that's with probably for most people, including myself, an unexpected name, but Jake Andrews, the center formerly from the Patriots. Jonathan Alexander writes, the Texans have continued to mix and match their offensive line combinations throughout the spring, but one of the constants running with the first-team offense has been newly acquired center Jake Andrews. The Texans were fortunate to acquire him off waivers after being released by the New England Patriots. He took all the first-team reps in Tuesdays and Wednesdays practices, while incumbent Jarrett Patterson mainly was with the second units. And I'll combine that because two of these guys were on the stock down, and that was, as you might guess, Juice Scruggs and Jarrett Patterson. Juice Scruggs, I think this was the most damning. So I'll just read his, and then we can talk about the center position overall. But Jonathan Alexander writes about Juice Scruggs. Juice Scruggs has been a little bit of an afterthought in recent weeks. I don't love to hear that about a former second-round pick. He's either been with the second team at guard or the third team at center, which isn't a positive sign for the former second-round pick. Scruggs began the 2024 season at center, but struggled with communication and had given up the most pressures for a center before his benching. Like, I don't know what happens to Jake Andrews, but like maybe Jake Andrews is good. I don't know. I'm guessing no, because the Patriots, not a great team, released him.
Yeah.
Just going, very surface level off of that. But I take this more from the Juice Scruggs side. Like if Jake Andrews, released from the Patriots, comes in, like immediately pushes him down to third string center, Juice Scruggs, you drafted in the second round, is getting pushed out by a waiver claim, or like a cut and release guy to push you down to the third string. Like we're gonna have the bust conversation with Juice Scruggs, I feel like, pretty soon.
Oh yeah, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is Andrews better than we think, or is Juice just really bad?
I think it's a mix, but more the latter.
Just really bad.
Or at least, yeah, but at least below average, and they think Andrews has a chance to be slightly above average,
Yeah.
something like that. But think about that. He's a second round pick. Like this would be different if Scruggs was a fifth round, sixth round pick. Someone on the last day of the draft. Like those guys get replaced by people coming in all the time. The team has nothing invested in you. So if they think they can get just 1% better, you're out. They have nothing invested in you. That's not the case with the second round pick, especially second round pick 2 years ago. Like, I don't think they would make the move to Jake Andrews if they thought they're only getting 1% better or even play. Like, for them to push out a second round pick that this regime drafted, like, I think this was probably
Speaks
a
a lot.
significant difference between him and Andrews.
Oh yeah, and
Which I don't know if that's a good thing, because Andrews might be bad, but it might be that Scruggs is just that much worse.
but if Andrews is bad and he's still better than Scruggs, then I suppose you still have your answer at center, because I feel like that's been one of the most inconsistent positions on this offensive line the last couple years.
That and
Is
interior
the center
guard
position. So the fact that Andrews is coming in and he's doing pretty much all the reps with the first team, it sounds like you. I mean, we're still far away from the season. We obviously have to see him play in like spring, the preseason games, to get kind of more of a feel for him. But the fact that he's making a name for himself, you might have your answer at center.
Yeah, and this might be kind of the case of, new offensive coordinator comes in, your offensive line coach is someone who was promoted, didn't have the main job last year. This might be a case of like new guys come in, like want to see new options,
Yeah.
because they like what they saw on tape from Juice Scruggs. Like they want to come in and put their own prints on this, like their own stamp on it. Like they don't want to run back what the guy before them did. So that could be working against Scruggs as well, but not an encouraging sign. Two more real quick stock downs, because I think they're pretty obvious takes here. But the other two that Jonathan Alexander mentions in his article in the Houston Chronicle was Dameon Pierce and Jimmy Ward. We know the story with Jimmy Ward, got arrested, if you haven't heard, allegations of choking and threatening to kill a woman in his house, who had to reportedly, allegedly, escape the house and call 911. Look, I mean, Jimmy Ward is not playing right now because he's dealing with a foot injury that he had surgery on. He's 33. I don't think he's played all that particularly well over the last 2 years, like in part because he's now 33. Like, I know Jimmy Ward goes back with D'Amico to the 49ers days, so he probably has a trust that he can execute what he wants to do with that defense, but it's probably time to move on from Jimmy Ward. I mean, you have you got CJ Gardner-Johnson, the trade with the Eagles that sent Kenyon Green there. You've got obviously Kalen Bullock,
drafted old buddy from USC.
Yeah, like I think it's time to move on from Jimmy Ward. And then Dameon Pierce, the blurb there is he's missed the entire spring with an undisclosed injury. Like an undisclosed injury that they thought, like, let's go get 3.2 per carry last year, Nick Chubb, another 29-year-old running back. Like, that can't be a good sign from Dameon Pierce. Chubb had like a Tank Dell level catastrophic knee injury.
Yeah.
Came back, averaged 3.2 per carry, and then hurt his foot again. It missed the rest of the season. Like, and he's 29, same age as Joe Mixon. You got a pair of 29-year-old running backs, and Dameon Pierce can't get on the field.
This one doesn't really.
It doesn't surprise me, but it kind of, like, if you had to guess, does Dameon Pierce make this team? I kind of think he doesn't.
I think he's still well.
It's okay. So it's Mixon, it's Chubb, it's Woody Marks. There's three. I mean, you're probably keeping four. I don't know who else would be in competition off the top of my head for Pierce, but I mean, You could say Pierce plays special teams. He's had a couple kick returns for touchdowns, but they've got wide receivers to do that.
Yeah.
Jalen Noel plays special teams. They Braxton Berrios plays special teams. Reportedly, John Mechie is working with special teams during the OTAs and mini camps. So, like, I don't know if they even need Dameon Pierce for that.
I don't think so. I mean, just what a crazy downfall, going from a
He was so
1,000-yard
good.
starter.
Oh, just short. He missed like the final 4 games of the year.
Just short to now being the third
being a
string,
bum.
possibly being the fourth string. Yeah,
To a guy
in 2 years.
To a guy averaging 3.2 per carry,
Yeah.
coming off multiple serious injuries.
He only has those somewhat decent numbers last year because he had that one game where he had 170 yards. The remaining
he had 170 off, and that came off of what he had, like an 80-yard,
like an 80-yard run.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah, I don't think Dameon Pierce makes the team. Anyway, we're way over. Let's get out the other side of the break. We got some NFL topics to kick around. That when the bullpen returns for hour 2, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Hour number 2 of the bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. I'm Brian McDonald alongside Cam Smith to my right, Johnny Belmer behind the glass. You can find us all on X. I'm at Sack by BMAC. Cam is at Clutch City Cam, and Johnny is at Third Coast Johnny. And if you want to hit us up and join the show, please give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776, as 0702 did earlier last segment. Talking about the safety positions of Jimmy Ward gets cut. Says, I'm not worried about Ward because we have Bullock and Gardner Johnson working the backfield ball hawks. Yeah, like that's the other part of the conversation. Not only does, if these reports are true, you have to say that because it's the early part, but if these reports are true, like Ward just deserves to be cut, period.
Yeah.
But especially when he's a 33-year-old declining safety and you got 2 guys you love, or at least, well, Caleb Bullock you love long term. CJ Gardner Johnson is probably just 1 year. But for 2025, you got 2 guys you love plus a guy they drafted out of USC to fill out some depth there. Like, I don't like if these reports are even remotely true. Like, I don't know what the point of holding on to Jimmy Ward would be.
I don't know. I don't know either. And I get, we talked about this earlier. He's got that that relationship with D'Amico. He's
Yeah.
been a team captain, but there's a certain point where that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like if these
anymore.
reports are true, I wouldn't even care if he was your best safety. Cut his ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it doesn't help. Like there's always a sliding scale with these things, what teams are willing to overlook from offense, then compared to your talent. But I think Jimmy Ward's on the downside. You have depth, and these allegations, if true, are horrible. Like cut his ass.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing?
And
like
the Texans are one of those teams where they don't really tolerate. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna. Obviously, all teams don't tolerate crime, but the Texans have
the Raiders kind of have for a long time.
Yeah, I mean that's the Raiders, but
Yeah.
you don't
like the Browns and the Chiefs kind of have. The Chiefs, I mean, how many guys have they signed that have like they've messed up?
Yeah,
and
they still have one that could.
Yeah, they brought him back. Yeah, Kareem Hunt, he left there.
Well, and Rice too.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah,
it's just I just don't.
Maybe even Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
half the roster.
the Chiefs do not.
But the Texans
care.
are not one of those teams where I feel like they play around with this type of stuff. And to what you already touched on, it's not just the arrest, but he's also hurt. He's 33. It's just
he's declining.
Yeah, you're not going to just keep this guy around because he's got a good relationship with D'Amico. Because I'm pretty sure D'Amico is going to be like, no, I'm not playing
D'Amico's
this.
a family man. He's not going to be happy about hearing this if the allegations are true. All right, let's get into some NFL talks. We only got about 5 minutes here before we got to get on the other side of the break. Although you know how these things goes, we'll probably go more than 5 minutes.
That's cool by me.
Sorry, Johnny. We'll probably go a little bit long here. Chris Sims, former Longhorn, Hook'em. I don't know if I want to claim him anymore though, because he's kind of become a clown in the media post playing career. But he put out his annual top 10 QBs list, and yikes! I don't know what you have the biggest problem with, but I'll just read down this list and we can dig into it. Number 1 on this list, actually, let's go 10-1. Number 10, the guy who just won a freaking Super Bowl last year, Jalen Hurts, 10th in the league according to Chris Sims. Number 9 and number 8, Baker Mayfield and your boy, Mr. 4INT himself, Justin Herbert. 7, 6, 5 in this order: CJ Stroud, Matthew Stafford, Jaden Daniels, and then his top 4, which he labels as the core 4: Patrick Mahomes, number 4, Joe Burrow 3, Josh Allen 2, Lamar Jackson 1. So obviously, there's I think everyone's going to take away something different from this list and be equally upset about it. What do you take most issue on this list with?
Matthew Stafford at it just in the top
being too high,
and Jalen Hurts being. I mean, that's just
being 10th.
I don't
10th?
I don't get that.
Look, I know it's people always say it's like, oh, when you have the quarterback matchup, Mahomes versus Allen. It's not actually Mahomes against Allen. It's Mahomes against the Bills defense and Allen against the Chiefs defense. But I mean, Hurts beat the team quarterback by Matthew Stafford. He beat the team quarterback by Jaden Daniels. He beat the team quarterback by Patrick Mahomes, and he's below all of them. Now, I'm fine with the Mahomes one. And that's one of my biggest issues, that Mahomes isn't one. And you can make the argument, I think, for the other 3 guys have legit cases. I don't have a problem with that, but I would still have Mahomes 1. But Hurts not being in the top, certainly in the top 5. Like,
he has to be in the top
like
5.
I can listen to the argument. He's below Lamar, he's below Allen, he's below Burrow, he's below Mahomes. Fine. I may disagree with some of that, but fine, no issue there. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But for him to be all the way down at 10 behind Baker and Herbert and Stroud and Stafford is insane.
Yeah, and like I get it. Baker, he's revitalized his career ever since he went to Tampa Bay.
Certainly.
But consistently wise, Jalen has been way more consistent. He's been way better in the playoffs. He just won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and he's made 2.
Yeah.
And barely lost the first
one. And
one.
honestly, you can almost argue that if it wasn't for these 4 guys in the top 4, you could argue that Jalen deserves to be in that top 4. It's really hard to
make the argument.
It's really hard to put him over these guys, but to be 10 is just asinine.
I guess it's kind of there's so many ways to try to like come up with your criteria when making lists. Like you could go off of just straight accomplishments, which then I think Mahomes would be 1 and Hurts would probably be 2. You could go with just your overall belief in their talent, or you could go with like, if I had 1 game to win tomorrow, who do I want as my quarterback? So I think there's different ways to take that. But if you go off of just what they've done, their stats, how much they've won, team success, that sort of thing, I mean, Hurts has got to be second. I mean, I don't know which way I tend to lean going of the way like who do I want one game to win, which will probably put Hurts a third. I think for me, like I think I would actually, yeah, he'd be third. Like I would go Mahomes if I had one game to win tomorrow. My team wins, I live. They lose, I die.
Yeah,
I'd go Mahomes, Burrow, Hurts. That'd be my top three.
I can be on board with
Yeah,
that.
because I mean, Allen and Lamar, extremely talented, arguably the most talented guys on this list. Like, if you go straight talent, I think they're 1-2, but they just haven't done it at the biggest level. They neither one have been to a Super Bowl. They always find a way to make the big mistake, not make the winning play when it gets to the AFC Championship level.
And like that, and that's why I want to know like the context behind this, because you talked about it. There's when you look at it like based on like winning and what you do in the playoffs, and then you also look at stats. Jalen does both. Like, yeah, Lamar and Josh Allen put up astronomical numbers, and they're very fun to watch. But what have we seen out of Lamar? He cannot win in the playoffs. So it's just like, is the number one quarterback in the league a guy that can't win in the playoffs?
Yeah, who's never been to a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know Lamar probably should have been a 3-time MVP. Like, his stats were better than Josh Allen this year. So look, there's certainly a good argument for Lamar, but like, yeah, I can't put the number one quarterback in the league, a guy who can't get to the Super Bowl, especially two spots ahead of Mahomes, who's won 3, been to 2 more, and then Hurts, who's been to 2 of the last 3 and won 1. Like, yeah, it's just, that's a hard argument for me. So, that'll be it for the NFL. We'll get out here. I guess we'll go ahead and get out on time. I guess that's the producer to me. Like, I see the clock. I know it's 12 after. I'm like, I'm supposed to get out. I can't get on Jeremy and Joel Monday through Friday and then not get out on time. So we'll go ahead and get out now and get to the big question on the other side of the break. That when the bullpen returns, join me, Cam Smith, and John Belmer on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
All right, welcome back in. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you here on a Saturday on the Bullpen. Coming up next segment, we'll have Mount Rushmore +1, and then the Mean Gene Show will follow us at 2 o'clock, so make sure you stick around. They'll have lots to talk about last night in Game 4 of the NBA Finals with a devastating collapse there for the Pacers, who had a 10-point lead in the third quarter and let it slip away from them. But Mean Gene and guest will certainly cover that. And Johnny, you said Charles is going to be back this week.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me.
All right, so yeah, make sure to tune into that at 2:00 for all your NBA Finals conversation. Right now, Bullpen here, we're going to dive into our big question, which we haven't been able to do the last couple of weeks because news and events just kind of take away and push too far into the show. But first question for you here, for both of you, for Johnny and Cam, which Texans era crossover would you rather have? Andre Johnson paired with current day quarterback C.J. Stroud, or J.J. Watt paired with, as a pass rushing duo, Will Anderson Jr.? Cam?
This is hard.
That's what she said.
Yes. I'm having a really hard time trying to decide this. Like, my brain, honestly, I'm probably gonna have to go Watt and Will Anderson Jr. just because I can't for the life of me think of the last team that would have had two dominant defensive linemen. I mean, I knew in the break I threw out like the Giants way back in the day.
The Giants. They had Justin Tuck and Michael Strahan and O.C. Umanura.
Yeah,
that was a hell of a.
And I mean, look with that Giant. That, if I'm not mistaken, that Giants team went to the Super Bowl.
Well, they won. Yeah, that was the. Oh my gosh, the in the graphs year. I can't remember the name of the David Tyreek. Is that the name? I'm trying.
Tyrell or something like that. But I know what
catch. Yeah, the catch where it looked like Eli Manning was in the grasp and he chunks a ball just to. Anyway.
I'd have to go with those two. I mean, it would be awesome to see CJ throwing to Andre Johnson, but and I'm not comparing Nico to Andre, but I think Nico could get too close to that level.
Well, couldn't you say the same thing about Daniil Hunter? As like, obviously Watt is better. Obviously Andre Johnson is better than Nico, but aren't the drop-offs kind of similar?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I guess it's just, to me, it comes down to like who would be a bigger impact on the team, and I think I'd take Andre. Like, I think Andre.
Ooh, okay.
Andre now?
Yeah, like basically you're subbing out. Like, you're taking Nico Collins off the roster, putting Andre Johnson on. I think I'd rather do that than take Hunter off the roster, put J.J. Watt on. I could be talked into either, but that's kind of where I lean. Where are you at? Where are you at with this one, Johnny?
I'm leaning towards Will Anderson Jr. and Watt together, but I think it kind of depends on what era you put him in. If you take
today,
if you take Will Anderson Jr. and put him on with Watt back in the day where Schaub was maybe the quarterback, then I'd rather go with the other. But okay, you're talking about today. I'm going Will Anderson Jr. and J.J. Watt all day.
How dare you knock on Mr. 5,000 back-to-back yard seasons, Matt Schaub?
He never had 5,000 yards once. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, he did.
No, look it up. You got a Google machine right there in front of you. You are crazy, Cam Smith. I think that all that caffeine you've been drinking is messing with your mind and your heart, by the way. I hope you make it through the show. He never had 5,000 yards once, man.
You're right. I'm tripping. Sorry.
He did lead the league once.
He led
but it was like 47 or 49.
It was, sorry. He had back-to-back seasons where he had over 4,300 yards. I don't know why I thought he had. I don't know why I thought he had 5,000 yards. I should have known as that was coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's all right.
Something was a little off. But I mean, Johnny does bring up a good point about if the errors, like depending on when it was.
I think that matters of what team you're putting this on. But I think for the sake of the conversation, it should be today. But
yeah,
I look. I don't think there's a wrong answer here. It's just like, do you lean dominant defense or maybe up? I guess maybe that's really the way we should answer the question is what's a bigger upgrade, going from Nico to Andre or going from Daniil Hunter to J.J. Watt?
Daniil to J.J. for sure.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to answer this question. I think you're right, Johnny. And I think that changes my answer. I would go with Watt and Will Anderson Jr.
Nice.
All right. We're all in agreement. All right. Let's move on to the next one. I know that you guys have wanted to do this question for a few weeks. Would you rather have an NHL team in Houston or get Astroworld back?
Easy. NHL.
Not even a question.
Not even a question.
Now, are you saying this because you're how old? 30?
25.
My ass.
Plus
and
10.
Matt Schaub passed 5,000 yards back.
Damn it. What an idiot.
You're as close to 25 as Schaub was to 5,000 yards.
No, this is an easy question. One, because I I loved going to Arrows games back in the day.
So did I. Yeah.
Very, very entertaining. And two, the last couple years of Astroworld were just disastrous. I mean, it was almost like a mosh pit. Like people were going there just to hang out. They weren't going there to like ride the rides and stuff.
Well, isn't that a plus though? The lines would be shorter.
No, not when it's because I went the last couple of years and like it was not fun. Like the fights were everywhere. That place was like they're just
Well,
that can be cleaned
everywhere.
up. Can't
Did it
it?
like
I
what
mean-
you say? It came Guns Point Mall.
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of like Edward Cinema back in the day. Like it used to be fun, and then it just turned into like a hangout spot where people weren't going there to do what it was like made for.
But
so
to
it's just-
Johnny's point, that could be cleaned up, extra security or whatever.
I mean, if you're giving me Astroworld like
Oh, Astroworld is heyday.
during its prime,
Yeah,
oof.
but
No,
I
no,
still think
still
our,
NHL.
I think
still
our
NHL.
okay. I'll quickly say I would take the NHL as well because I would get more day-to-day enjoyment out
Yeah.
of that. Like I would get 82 games to watch. I'm not going to Astroworld 82 times throughout the year.
No.
But I also think it's dependent upon our age. You're 25, which is a lie. 25 plus 9
Plus 10.
plus 10. Okay, 25 plus 10. Johnny, you're right about 30.
I'll be 33 in August.
Okay, so and I'm 41. Like if we were 12 or 13, what's our answer? It's hands down Astroworld, right? So I think this is maybe a question that gets broken down upon depending on what age you're at. Like unless you have kids, which I do, but
I
you
still
two don't.
think,
Like
I still think I would go NHL just for the fact that you can
man,
go to
teenage you wouldn't
Galveston
be-
and they have a theme park. You can go up to San Antonio.
It's not the
They have a
same.
great
That's
theme
a
park.
3-hour drive.
But that I'm fine with that because
Okay.
again,
All
because
right.
we just talked about it, we're not going to go to Astroworld as many times as we would go to an NHL game. So
That's why it's NHL for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, what is your answer on this, Johnny?
I'm disappointed a little bit. I would love to have an NHL team, but I'm disappointed at how quickly you came to that, Cam. You were just like NHL, no question.
Yeah, he was very dismissive of Astroworld.
He was, and I'm on the
A little
other side of this.
disrespectful.
A little disrespectful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would love to have an NHL team, and I've been beating that drum for forever. But to bring back Astroworld, like it's going to be there every year, all summer for everybody to go enjoy. But how many people are going to really legitimately be interested in hockey in this city? Like
It's a transplant city, though. To be fair, like I mean, it's a city that I don't know what the breakdown would be, but it's a city that people move to more than flee. So you have people moving here from cold weather hockey towns all the time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a big sports town. So even I feel like it's almost kind of the same thing with like the Astros. I feel like in the last couple of years, especially like due to social media, the Astros is like it's not just popular because it's a sport, but like even if you're not super into baseball, people enjoy going to sporting events. Like even
Sure.
if you don't keep up with it, people still enjoy going to that. So even if you're not like a super diehard in like I don't ever watch NHL during the regular season. I watch the playoffs all the time.
Right.
Right.
Same.
The fact that there would be an NHL team here, I feel like even if you don't keep up with hockey, that's something that people would love to go see.
okay, but you have you say going to sporting events, but you have the Rockets, you have the Astros, you have the Texans, you have the Dynamo, SaberCats. Like there are plenty of sport options. There's not a real theme park in this area. There's like, Splash Town and stuff like that for water, but like there's not a real theme park here. You can go to
Yeah.
all those other sporting events.
I
would rather
love
have
to have
the theme
some
park.
roller coasters back, like
Thank you.
legit roller coasters. I know, like you said, Kima's got a roller coaster. The Pleasure Pier, I believe, has a roller coaster, but they're not, Grease Lightning.
Maybe I should throw
They're
in this
not-
too. I'm also not a big heights person.
Oh,
so,
see, there we go. See, there it is.
In fact, when I went to Fiesta a couple years ago, one of the rides, my eyes were shut the entire time. And my best friend lied to me. I didn't realize it was the one where
What
there's
ride? What ride?
it was the one where
If it's the teacups, I'm leaving.
no.
Okay.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. There was a ride where he told like there was no bottom part. So you were basically just like strapped in.
Oh,
Well,
you're
like a
hanging?
bicycle
and your
seat?
legs were just like this.
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified.
The Batman ride, I think it was called Batman Escape. Or no. I'm thinking of is either that or
Are you thinking of the Superman one?
I think it was
well,
the Superman
there
one.
was a ride, well, maybe in Fiesta, Texas, but there was a ride at Astroworld before it closed. There was like a Mr. Freeze ride.
I love the Viper,
The Viper was cool.
which
Oh,
is crazy
Viper
because
was
that
cool.
one was
But
wood.
That was one of the tamer one. It was just one loop, and that was really all you had of the Viper.
It was just the fact that it was like one of the oldest wooden roller coasters.
That wasn't the Viper.
Viper wasn't
Viper
wooden.
was wood.
No,
the Viper was
Cyclone
green.
wooden. Yeah,
The
Viper
Cyclone was wood.
Viper was
I
metal.
thought the Viper was wood.
No. You're in a roll here with these takes, Cam.
I mean, it's been so long.
Astro
Astroworld's been gone
But
for
you know
what,
what?
15 years?
But you know what? If we bring Astroworld back, obviously none of those rides are going to
No.
be existing.
You
We
know
could
what-
have all new, like you can go explore all the new rides and everything new
You know
about
what's fun? A little rabbit hole to go down once the show's over is you can look now. It's on Wikipedia, so you never know the factual validity of this. The facts might come from Cam Smith on this one, but you can actually track like where some of these rides went after Astroworld closed. Like it got sold off to other parks, and some of them, at least as a couple years ago, were still in use in other ballparks across, or not ballparks, but amusement parks across the country. All right, one more quick one, and we'll get out and go to Mount Rushmore plus one. One 0-calorie food for the rest of your life. You can pick any food in the world. You make it 0 calories. We answered this the other day on the Killer Bees. My answer was my immediate answer, and I've since wavered on a little bit, but I think my immediate answer was burgers. But if you could pick any food to be 0 calories for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
This is tricky because I'm like, do I go with the food that I eat the most, or do I go with like a food that I really love but I don't eat a lot because it's so unhealthy?
That's the interesting thing, like because that's why I changed my answer because I maybe thought it was burgers, but I was thinking like, what's the frequency? Like, what would you get more benefit
Yeah.
out of? To your point, Cam, like if I eat something basically every single day, that's probably more beneficial than one super gluttonous
Yeah.
thing that I'm taking calories on. So I actually changed my answer. And this might be a little bit controversial, but it makes so many different. It's one piece of a dish, but to me, I changed my pick to tortillas. Like
Oh,
there's so many different things that I can eat that have tortillas in it. Where like tortillas are like the big source of obviously carbs and calories. And if you take that out, then it just becomes kind of like a keto diet sort of situation.
it's a good
Good
call.
point. I think my initial thought was tacos because I love tacos and eat, but tacos honestly aren't that.
Well, you can make it fatty.
You can,
You
but
can
honestly,
make it fatty.
tacos aren't super unhealthy. So I'd almost have to go maybe like a torta, but I also want to say fried chicken.
Oh,
Actually, yeah, not chicken fried chicken, but chicken fried steak would be. I
Either-
don't eat it that often, but
But if it had 0
if
calories,
it has 0 calories,
hey.
I might eat it almost every day.
This is a good question.
What about you, Johnny?
I love food.
mine is going to be potato in general.
Oh, so you're kind of going the route like I did with
Yeah,
tortilla.
because you can do so
Yeah.
many things with it, and I mean,
French
potatoes are
fries, mashed
exactly.
potatoes, so many different things. You could put it in a breakfast taco.
Breakfast,
yeah.
lunch, dinner, everything. Yeah.
You all day long you'd be eating potatoes and not absorbing any calories.
I
man.
love.
That'd be
To his point, I've had potatoes like 3 times this week already.
well. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
That was a sick brag there. Wait, hey, Johnny, save that as a drop. I'm Cam Smith. I had 3 potatoes. I had potatoes 3 times already this week. All right. On the side of the break, when we get back, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Myself, John Belmer, and Potato Man, Clutch City Cam over here. We'll get to Mount Rushmore plus one. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. Welcome into Mount Rushmore Plus One, the award-winning, groundbreaking segment that forever changed the sports radio landscape and will land the three of us plus Sean Mapes into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame in far less than the 27 years it took those bums in the morning to get there. Far less.
Lazy.
I'm just gonna run this shtick until Granado punches me for it. I think that's when the shtick will hit.
Oh my!
I think Lance is still down the hallway. He's got a chance to come down here and get you down.
I'm sure he's heard me
saw his
yelling
door
at some
open.
point. Okay, yeah, he's up here scout. Man, is there already scouting season? It's June.
It is.
Wow. Okay. Shout out to Lance, hardest working man in showbiz. All right, so why don't one of you guys go first? Because mine's going to get silly. I don't know what the transition will be, but
Let's let Johnny go
Johnny
first
Belmer.
for once.
Yeah,
for the first
time.
time.
One last week. Yeah, Johnny Belmer. Why don't you go first?
All right, I'm actually doing my one that I didn't get to do last week. It's basically just me poking at BMAC, basically.
This. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a bit of a heel.
Yeah, you are a bit of a heel. Look at you using wrestling terminology. I'll get you yet. I turned Mace into a wrestling fan. I'll get you.
No, you're not. You're not getting me on that now. Sorry to disappoint you. This is my Mount Rushmore plus one of my reasons why the UFC is and always will be better than WWE. For BMAC.
Such a hater.
Number 5 is there is no tag team bullcrap in WWE. I mean, in UFC like there is WWE.
I would love to see tag team UFC.
No,
they're
come
missing
on.
an opportunity. They're missing an opportunity.
Somebody would die.
Somebody would die. There would be too much going on.
No, but if you literally had to tag in and tag out, why would somebody die?
Oh, I was.
No,
I'm not saying 4 men fighting at
That's
once.
what I was thinking.
No. Tag in, tag out.
Oh, okay. Then, yeah.
Same rounds, like same 5-minute rounds or whatever, or 3 5-minute rounds, depending on if it's a championship fight. But just tag in and
you
tag
think
out.
that would be interesting to see? I think that'd be terrible. I want to see.
I'd be willing to watch it once, see how it goes.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they've done it. Other countries have it all the time.
Do
Like I've seen, like 3-on-3, 4-on-4. Like they go
I'm
crazy.
just poking some holes in your list, John.
Yeah, I know you are. Number 4, I will take a Bruce Buffer fight introduction over a WWE introduction all day, every day.
Yeah, Bruce Buffer's not even the best buffer.
Yes,
he's not even the best buffer.
Yeah, he is.
It's time.
But he's not the best ever, but he's better than what you get with the WWE.
Yeah.
Music and the walkout. Number 3 is the dress, the outfits, whatever you want to call them.
You mean the fun? The fun? You don't like fun, Johnny? Is that what you're saying?
It gets a little bit weird. With guys like wearing thongs and stuff out there.
Sure, no one's wearing thongs out there.
It's a little weird. Oh, come on now.
No one's wearing thongs out there.
Number 2,
except for
there
Shawn
are no
Michaels at one time.
Yeah, except for a lot of guys at one time. I don't have specific examples.
Were different, okay?
I don't have specific examples to throw at you to prove you wrong. So
well, Shawn Michaels
got an
did
advantage
the 90s.
there.
I gave you one.
Number 2, no props or gimmicks. Chairs, no ladders, no.
Again, what do you have against fun?
Come on, no, that's.
What do you have against fun?
It's ridiculous. It's not fun. It's ridiculous.
Yes, I know it's ridiculous. That's called fun.
People light themselves on fire and jump onto crazy stuff. The last one, I will take a cage over the ring any day.
WWE has like 6 different type of cage matches.
Yes, but I'm talking not the stupid cage, like with the top on it and like stuff hanging.
He's going out.
I'm being a little mean.
Hater.
Hey, I'm being a little bit of a hater, but
man, Johnny took that seriously, man. He was coming after me.
It's all true.
Coming after my love for.
He's been waiting a whole week to come at you.
I have been. Yeah,
I wanted to storing up for years. I don't think that was a week.
I wanted to do it last week when they had you had the UFC and
but Money in the Bank. All right, Cam, what is your Mount Rushmore plus one?
My Mount Rushmore.
Hopefully, it's not attacking me. Like
no, of course not. I would never.
Johnny did.
I would never attack you.
as you roll your eyes
inside the studio.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay.
So mine is my top little quick trips to make in Texas.
Sure. Okay.
Like little weekend trips or maybe like a 1-day trip. My favorite is San Antonio. I love San Antonio. That's kind of why I made that comment on Twitter about how I prefer San Antonio over Austin. Flatonia, Texas.
Yeah, I've been there.
Good little town off I-10. My grandparents actually used to go there. I'm not saying it's one that I would go to every weekend, but it is close to Shiner, the brewery. And
I've taken the tour there.
And they have one of the biggest chili festivals, Chili Spill, in October, which is a lot of fun. So that's a cool little town to go visit. South Padre. I'm a big water guy, and it's close to Mexico, so that's highly convenient. Then there's Fredericksburg.
That feels like Fredericksburg is for like an older crowd, though.
It
Like
is,
there's
but
antiquing
it's a different
and like
vibe.
kind of like chic restaurant, not chic restaurants, but kind of like like the vibe is I think different there. Like it's not a part. Well, I guess it's a different type of party, but feels like a party for 40 plus.
It is, but it's also one of those trips where it's just like it's chill, it's relaxing. Like
I mean, anywhere in the hill country is fun to visit.
Yeah, like you're gonna Fredericksburg. When I think of Fredericksburg, I think of like me going with a girl for a nice like little weekend trip.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly what I would think of.
Yeah. And then very last is Austin.
You say that with like disdain.
I'm just not.
You have it in your top 5, so it's obviously got to be somewhat fun. And you said it like you didn't like it.
I do. It's just I don't. It's not the same Austin vibe anymore. Like
what? It's less weird.
It's plenty weird.
Well, what's different? Because I've heard some people say it's become more corporate.
It has in that sense, but it's more corporate. But it's just like I feel like 10 years ago when I was going to Austin, it was just there's more. It just seemed more relaxed and like chill. It was a good vibe. It was a little different than like Houston, and now I feel like Austin's kind of turning somewhat into Houston, and I think Austin's just kind of overrated sometimes.
I don't know. The comedy scene up there is great.
Yeah. I saw Ron Funches there at what was that name of that? Cap City Comedy Club. I mean, I love Austin. There's lots of nature stuff to do. They got great restaurants. You got
I do like the nature side of it.
Music festivals and whatnot. Like the Bat Bridge is cool. I don't know if have you ever gone out in the boat to watch the bats come out from under the bridge? Also, there's lots of cool stuff to do in Austin.
I might get a lot of heat for this. I think the food in Austin's overrated.
They got some pretty good barbecue, man.
Okay,
depends on what you're going for.
Yeah, there's good barbecue.
Salt Lake barbecue, which is a little bit outside of Austin, but also fantastic.
But if I have one more person come up to me and tell me that there's better Mexican and Tex-Mex food
you're
in
specifically
Austin,
talking about one type of food. Then
I'm going to have apoplexy.
I didn't know it was that severe, man.
It is.
Okay. Well, I will not talk to you about the merits of the Austin food scene because I don't want you to die, which I'm already concerned about because of your caffeine intake, as we discussed earlier in the show. All right. My Mount Rushmore +1 comes off of a story that I saw from Kentucky. So buckle up there. Kentucky man's involved. I'll just read you quickly the synopsis of the story, which will lead into my Mount Rushmore +1. From Fox 8, a Kentucky man reportedly known as Cowboy Cody was arrested Friday after allegedly releasing a raccoon inside a bar, according to police. We're already starting off with the home run here, okay? Now we're going for a second home run. So according to the Murray Police Department, officers were called to the bar after a report of a man intentionally releasing a raccoon inside the Big Apple Grill and Bar, which when I first read this, I thought I read it as Applebee's. I was like, oh man, he let loose of a raccoon in the Applebee's, but it's actually like, I guess, some sort of knockoff. Officers later found the suspect, who was identified as 40-year-old Jonathan Mason. Police said they had to forcibly remove Mason from the car because he refused to roll down his windows or exit the vehicle during the traffic stop. I mean, I don't know what the end game is at that point. The cops are surrounding your car. You might as well just get out. Like nothing good is going to happen at that point by you making it more difficult on them. Mason had been previously asked to not trespass on the bar's property. Mason was arrested and charged with second-degree assault, third-degree criminal trespassing, resisting arrest, and failure of owner to maintain required insurance. First offense. One person reportedly was bitten by the raccoon, according to police.
Is this the same raccoon that was found with a meth pipe?
I don't know if it was.
I don't know if it was. Did you see this? A couple of weeks ago, somebody got pulled over and they had a raccoon in their car with a meth pipe.
I think I did see that. So this. I don't know why the man needed revenge, but he released the raccoon into the bar for revenge. So my Mount Rushmore +1 is animals I would release into a bar for revenge.
This is good. This is
for
good.
Revenge.
This is a good one.
Number 5. Now I will say, people are like, well, we'll release a tiger in there. They'll kill everybody. I can't bring a tiger into a bar. So let's scratch off tigers,
realistic, people,
and lions and gorillas and bears, right? We're scratching them off the list. These are animals I could actually get into the bar. All right. Number 5, whole bunch of squirrels.
Oh,
if I just open the door and with a bag of squirrels and they all just run out, those guys go everywhere. You couldn't catch them. They get into everything.
So we're at a bag instead of just one now. We're releasing a bunch of them.
Yeah, I got
Why
a
not?
bag. I got a bag of those
Okay.
squirrels.
That's what
what's the
duffel
problem?
bags are
Yeah,
for.
what's the problem? I got a bag of squirrels.
I just throw a bunch of bird seed like outside the door, and there they go.
Yeah, but then they're stopping at the door. I want them inside the bar.
Yeah.
This is for the revenge.
No, I mean that's how I get them out the bar. If you
Oh, I
put them in.
see. Maybe,
They'll come
maybe. I
back.
don't know, man. They're you know, squirrels are unpredictable. I mean, how many
They
times
are.
have they started across the road and stopped right in front of you? They're extremely unpredictable. So I think they'd be a pain in the ass to get outside of the get outside your restaurant or bar. Number 4. This one is actually dead, and it's for the smell. Dead fish.
Oh.
Dead fish, especially like the old dorm prank where you put it in the AC unit. That'd be a good one for revenge. That one's probably a bit mean. Number 3, a whole lot of bats. I think bats would be so hard to get at. I mean, they're screeching, they're flying everywhere, they're scaring your patrons, they're pooping everywhere. You can't catch them.
Rabies.
Potential for
Oh
rabies.
yeah, that's the big one.
Bats would be.
That's attempted murder.
Yeah, it is.
It might be. Yeah, I might get bigger charges than Cowboy. What was his name?
Cowboy Cody.
Cowboy Cody. Yeah, that's a hell of a nickname. Sounds like a wrestler. See, Johnny can't get behind the story because it has a guy with a wrestling name in it. All right, 2 more. Mount Rushmore plus 1 of animals to release into a bar for revenge. I think they're the pretty obvious ones, so I'll name them off back to back. Rats and snakes.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously know why rats would be bad. I mean, one, you get the restaurant shut down for a health code violation, but they would chew through stuff. They're gross. People would be freaking out. And snakes, I mean, a lot of people are afraid of snakes. Plus, they could be venomous. They could kill people.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a pretty good revenge.
You can save it with the rats. You can kind of go ahead and figure it out. If you put the snakes, depending on how many you put, you might as well just burn that thing to the ground. It's done.
Yeah, too many snakes.
Snakes on a plane.
Snakes on
in
a
a bar.
plane. Yeah, tired of all these mother bleeping snakes in this mother bleeping bar. But that would be good revenge. All right, one more segment left this week. We'll have another episode.
Remind me not to mess with you.
Yeah, well, this is in part, I think, inspired by your types of torture that you wanted to get. I can't remember why. Oh, it was for the people that stole your identity. That's what it was for. All right, one more segment to go today. On the side of the break, we'll get into what we love from sports this week and our worst people in sports this week when the bullpen returns. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. One more segment today with the Bullpen following us. Mean Gene will go take you from 2 to 3, joined by both Charles and Caleb Carter, who were in his time slot a couple weeks ago. So stay tuned. They'll have lots of NBA Finals coverage for you in that Pacers collapse in Game 4. So 6171 texted in, guys. I told you during the break. I missed the big one. 6171 called me out, and he is 100% correct. He tweets in, "Skunk was a big miss by BMAC."
Yes.
Skunk. I mean, how did I? Yeah. I guess the only thing I would say there is, like, I'd be worried that I'd get sprayed in the process of trying to wrangle said skunk, to where I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze.
It's worth it for the revenge.
Maybe.
Is it?
If I get sprayed down, though, it's no longer worth it. It's really a zero-sum game. The only way it's worth it is if I don't get sprayed in the process.
And you're snitching on yourself, because if you get sprayed, everyone's
going to, when the cops track you down,
this
like,
guy.
well, it's that guy. He's the only one that smells like
it
ass.
depends if you're snitching on it. If you do it like when they're closed, that's one thing. Or are you just walking up, opening the door while they're open and throwing it in? You
have to do it when people are there, because that
Right.
causes more of an uproar.
Yeah, I think you do too. I think the risk is too big, though. It's a good thought from 6171.
It is.
And I probably should have put in there. So this is part just trying to defend myself. I just worry about getting sprayed myself, and then I'd lose the appeal of it. All right, before we wrap it up and hand it over to the Mean Gene show, let's get into our worst people in sports and what we love from sports this week. My worst people in sports this week is the Pirates offense, who have helped. I say helped in air quotes here. Helped Paul Skeens set a major league record. You might think, what's the major league record? I know he's been amazing. Well, unfortunately, it's not a good record. Paul Skeens, who yesterday got a no decision with 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts, but got a no decision because his team scored, I think they scored 1 run in the game, and it was late. It was after he left. Paul Skeens now has an ERA for the season of 1.78 with a sub-1 WHIP, 0.85. Crazy for a starting pitcher to have a sub-1 WHIP, and again a 1.7 ERA. But despite that great dominance from Paul Skeens, he's now set a record for fewest number of wins with 4 by a pitcher who began a season with a sub-2 ERA through 15 starts since Major League Baseball integrated in 1947.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He has the record for fewest amount of wins with a sub-2 ERA. The guys, it's actually a pretty big list of the guys who had 5 wins through that time. I only took the guys who were semi-recent. I didn't want to go back to the 30s, but the other names on the list who had 5 wins in a sub-2 ERA were Jacob deGrom, Shelby Miller, Zach Greinke, and Clayton Kershaw. So some big names there, but Paul Skeens has the dubious honor of setting a unfortunate baseball record.
Well, we witnessed that against the Astros. When he went, what was it, 8 scoreless innings?
8 scoreless.
Still didn't get the win?
No. He gave up 1 run. He gave up 1 run on a home run to Christian Walker, and I think they lost 2-1. Yeah. So Paul Skeens,
poor guy.
Best of luck when you leave for either the Yankees or the Dodgers in a few years. All right, Cam, who is your worst person in sports this week?
My worst person in sports is TJ McConnell. Because,
the Pacers guard. Yeah.
Yes. All I needed.
Because he looks like a rec league all-star? What's the complaint here?
Well, that's fine. All I needed was him to not even make, just attempt 1 3-point shot in last night's game.
You had a bet?
And it was the difference between $200 and $20.
Oh, him not attempting a 3 cost you $180?
Half a 3. He had to take half a 3.
Well, yes, so he has to take one. Yes,
all he had to do was take 1 3. He didn't even have to make it. I just needed him to shoot one.
That's a bad gambling.
And this is coming off of a really good game by him.
Yeah, he had
was
really
kind of like, all right, what are we doing?
He's had a few good games during the playoffs. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Damn you, TJ.
Man, all you needed was 1 3?
1 3.
How many legs did this I assume this was on like prize picks.
Yeah,
how many legs did this have?
5.
5? Oh, and that was the only one that didn't hit?
That was the only one that did not hit.
Wow. Only needed 1 3. I'm sure I don't remember. I only watched the second half of that game, but I'm sure he had some chances where he could have jacked one up. I saw him in the game quite a bit.
Yeah, and he's a pretty decent 3-point shooter, so I was just kind of like, okay.
That is a bad burn. All right. Time to go ahead and stop swimming with the anger sharks, move away from what we hated, and doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility. Talked about what we love from sports this week. Cam, what'd you love from sports this week?
What I loved is the recent news of the Rockets re-signing Steven Adams to a 3-year extension. Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Johnny said that broke, I think, right as we started Mount Rushmore +1. It was 3 years, 39.
3 years, 39.
That is, I did not think, because of how well he played last season, that the Rockets were going to be able to afford to bring him back. I thought his market would have moved past a mark where the Rockets would have been comfortable with going. But that is big news, because that double big lineup with him and Şengün was amazing.
Oh yeah, and I mean the fact that I think that I read something where again just against, I mean obviously throughout the year he was the best offensive rebounder technically in basketball, but
has been like most of his career too.
His plus minus for the Rockets plus minus against Golden State was like plus 44 when he was on the floor, and like the opposite when he was off. It was like negative 44. So that, I mean, obviously his numbers aren't gonna like light up. Like,
well, he's never a guy that's going to get his own offense. He's only going to get it on putbacks,
but he's great at what he does, and it's it's crucial.
Clogging the paint,
yeah.
Impacting shots when guys drive in, and obviously getting boards. I don't. It'd be interesting to see, because he kind of had to work himself back into shape. Like when they got into the playoffs and they were wanting him to play like 30 plus minutes, it felt like that was a bit much for him at times. So it'll be interesting to see what else they add to the roster so he doesn't have to play 30 minutes. Because I'd rather have 20 minutes of really impactful Steven Adams than 30 minutes if he's,
which is
kind
about
of
what
dragging himself up and down the court.
Yeah.
On average, he was like
22
20
minutes,
to 25. But that's a really big domino for the Rockets offseason. We'll see what they also do with Fred VanVleet, what they do with the number 10 overall pick. I don't think they keep it. But a lot of big decisions for the Rockets coming up in the offseason. Before I get into mine, do you think how serious do you think they are going after Durant?
I think they're very serious. Because
Shams came out with a report a few days ago that the Spurs, and one or two other teams were like super heavy after Durant.
There's like four main contenders for Durant. I'm all for it, but I think we just have to realize, like, the Rockets, the Suns are the desperate team. The Rockets aren't. So the Rockets.
Well, okay, to that point, because the name I keep seeing in like, would you do this trade sort of proposals, would most of them include Jalen Green? Is that a deal breaker for you?
Nope.
No, you would move. You don't have any problem moving Green.
Nope. Now, if you're packaging like Jabari,
no, I don't think it'd be that. So like, if you move Green, the what I keep seeing is like Green, either the 10th pick or one of the Suns' future first back, plus like salary fillers to make the contracts work.
Absolutely.
You would do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I'm a little wary trading a 23-year-old for a 37-year-old. I get that Green was awful except for game 2 in their first round series against the Warriors, but I'd be a little wary of that. All right. Because I got audio to play here, I should get over to what I love from sports this week. What I loved was Ron Killings, formerly R-Truth, the wrestler. Sorry, Johnny. He had a crazy week where he got fired, but because the fan pushback was so crazy in support of him, WWE brought him back, and now he's kind of flipping his character from being this goofy comedy gimmick that no one takes seriously into trying to take himself more seriously and push him into a higher level. And as a part of that, there was a radio show on Sirius XM called Busted Open Radio that was taking issue with how he did his character turn, which included cutting off his hair. That kind of became part of his comedy look, and to more of a sleek, serious look. And they took issue with how Ron Killings did that, formerly R-Truth. Ron Killings called into the show after he heard it and went off on this tirade.
Who the he talking to? Who he telling me who I am? I know who I am. I'm protecting him. And see, everybody got somebody that's trying to tell them who the they are. I know who I am. I'm not the nice one. I'm driving now. Don't let nobody tell you who you are. You know you better than anybody else know. And I know me better than anybody else know me too. And they better put some respect on my name, because I am the truth. So help me.
Yeah,
How you gonna tell me why I cut my hair? I do what I want to do. See, it ain't that nice time
Get it,
no more.
Ron.
I'm not angry. I won't be taken advantage of no more. Things gonna change around here. I'm driving now.
Unbelievable promo from Ron Killings. Come on, even if you're not a wrestling fan, that's a hell of a promo.
It's just funny that when I first heard it, I had to ask if that was Stephen A.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're. I'm not even going to say it. All right, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I could trust you today, because you did put Matt Schaub over 5,000 yards multiple times. All right, it's all right, Cam. I hope you make it to next week's show. We will be back on. Cam will be too, if he doesn't die from his caffeine overexposure. That'll do it for the bullpen this week. Stay tuned for the Mean Gene Show Me and Gene will be joined by Charles and Caleb Carr breaking down all the Game 4 action for the NBA Finals. See you next week in Houston. Have a good one.